Peace, family, peace, 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 peace. All right, so I'm back. Okay, so um, I hope you guys are having a phenomenal night. If not, do understand and get your night, day is going to get better once your perception gets better. If you are new to my channel, my name is Dina Bryant. I do these inspirational videos just talking about life. And lately, I have been incorporating books, the books that I have read, the books that my mentors had recommended. Okay. And so it's so funny. Okay. Let me just say this. It's so funny because I used to have this self image of myself that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't bright enough, right? And that all stemmed because when I was in high school, because I previously dropped out of school when I was in the sixth grade, okay, because I was into selling drugs, okay, when I was 12 years old. And from me dropping out of school, I went to a Catholic school. Um, I stopped going to school and I had went to the youth house. Okay, so from me going to the youth house, my father, who had custody of me at the time, he had passed away while I was in the youth house. And from there, my brother and sister from my mother's side, they mother and her husband decided that she would adopt me. She would pretty much get custody over me. And I believe I started staying with my brother and sister mother when I was about 14 years old. Okay. The all girls home that I was in, right? Like after I got released from the youth house and then I went to a all girls home that was paid for by the state. Okay. And being in that all girls home, I was able to get my um diploma, well, not, I don't know, a diploma when you were in the eighth grade, diploma or whatever. And then from there, um I went after my brother and sister mother um got custody of me, her and her husband. I then started going to high school. Okay, high school from the city, like I'm from Jersey City. Okay, I'm Jersey girl. Okay. And once I started going to high school, I was placed in special education because it was so much work that I had missed. And, you take a test and stuff like that, and the state will say, well, you supposed to be in special education, right? Or your scores had you scored low or whatever it was. And I remember it would be times where as though I felt ashamed, right, of being placed in special education and things of that nature. And fast forward, okay, after I completed high school, I then went on to college, okay. Um, and I always had a eagerness for learning, right? Learning something. And I think a lot of times what we tend to do, we tend to compare our smarts or look at someone else's and say, well, this person is so smart, like in school, right? It's like you competing for an A. And while you in school, hey Tracy, while you in school is like you competing, right? And you may look at someone else's who is, like just all A's in class, and you may look at them and you may feel some type of way because it's like, damn, they smart. You may feel like they smarter than you or whatever it is. But what I come to realize is this. And one of the things that my mentor said, Bob Proctor, okay, honey, if you subscribe to my channel, just know I will be mentioning Bob Proctor a lot. Okay, okay. But one of the things Bob Proctor has said, and he was so relatable. Okay, so some of you guys probably like, who the hell is Bob Proctor? Okay, Bob Proctor was a part of The Secret, and I remember hearing Bob Proctor say, um, when he was in school, he wasn't that smart, and in fact, he dropped out in the ninth grade, and it was as if he said the school, he believed that they was happier than him that he dropped out, or they told him not to come back or something like that. And what I come to realize is things that we have been programmed to believe is not true. Okay. It's so many successful people that I have watched, that I have listened to, and is a quite few who didn't finish school, right? So to the person that's out there, if you was placed in special ed, or if you never really was that top student or whatever it is like that, do understand that it's something phenomenal in you. Okay. And you don't have to compete. You don't have to compete for the A or whatever it is, because what you have within you, no one can ever, no one can ever duplicate it. Okay. And so, although you may have been placed and people may have called you slow, or they may have criticized you for whatever it is, let me tell you something. You have the ability to change your life. You have the ability to change your life. And you do not have to be like the next person. You could be yourself in doing so. So, with that being said, that's just like a brief introduction for, all the new people that's going to be coming. Okay. I want you to know who I am. All right. And I want you to know that you have the ability to change your damn life. And that was the purpose of me saying all of that, because I used to be a person that used to say, I don't read. Right. I used to be a person that used to say, I ain't got time to read. Okay. But when you want something different, you are going to do something different. And I stick by that, and I stand by that. Okay. All right. So getting back to it. I was looking for again, The Mystic Path to Cosmic Power. If you don't have, I remember hearing Bob Proctor say this too. He said, if you don't have this book in your library, in your collection, your library is not complete. Okay. Okay. And when he said that, and when he kept talking about this book, I said, what book he say? Okay. I kept rewinding the tape. What book he say? And honey, this I done said this. I know you guys are like, God damn, how many times you gonna say it? That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's such a good read. Because when you read this book, this book have been through some things, okay? It came apart, okay? It's been through some things, okay? But this book is such a phenomenal read. This book is like a page turner. If you're a person just that, honey, I done forgot the damn page. One second, because it was a page. Oh, you know what? I done forgot the damn page. Okay, and that's the page that I was gonna read. That's the title of this goddamn live. Okay. Oh, look at this. Oh, you know what? That's okay. We gonna go with how to be free from sadness. Okay. You a sad person. Okay. Now what did I say? You have the ability to change your goddamn life. Okay. The ability to change your life. And I keep saying it because I don't know if you guys really understand it, or if you really get that. But I really want you to understand and get, you have the ability to change your life. Just make a decision. Okay, I made a decision. I said, God damn it, I see the successful people keep recommending all these books. I am going to start me a goddamn library. Okay, I am going to have a goddamn bookshelf with a plethora of knowledge, of information, of ways to change my perception. Okay, I see all these people who at first started out in life, they was not successful. okay, that grew up, who grew up in rags and then went to riches. But you know what they did? They decided, they made a declaration. They said, you know what? I deserve better. I want my life to change. And they also took accountability and goddamn responsibility. And that's another thing. Because you ain't taking no goddamn accountability and responsibility, honey, good luck to you. And that's why I say, I had this one girl, and I'm gonna get back to the book, okay? I had this one girl who I used to work with, okay, at a hardware store, okay. I used to work at a hardware store at Home Depot, to be exact, okay. And I remember I had did a video on my Facebook page, right? And a lot of my videos, like when I first started, I started on YouTube, but then later on went to Facebook, okay. And it's like six years of videos on Facebook, okay, showing up every damn day. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. So what happened was, and it's so funny how you need to listen to your intuition, because my intuition told me to do the videos here, but I didn't listen. I went to damn Facebook. Okay. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I love my Facebook family. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the experience. Okay. But it came a point in time where, as though I said, you know what? My intuition was like, YouTube. Okay. So here I am. Okay. Back in the flesh. Honey, I'm here. Okay. But I remember I was doing a video and I was talking about relationships, right? And basically, I was saying, everything that shows up in your life, it is a reflection of you. And the lady, the phenomenal queen that I worked with, okay, one of the things she said, yeah, but these men, what about them? And like, what about the stuff they do? Right. And one of the things that I had responded was, you know, you are on this live. Your boyfriend or your ex ain't on this live. That was one. And then two, as long as we are pinpointing and saying, oh, it's because of this, or it's because of that person, or it's because of this company, or it's because of, as long as you are naming, gaming, blaming things outside your existence, your life is finna continuously be a charade. Because it's not until you start taking accountability, because the thing that's showing up in your life, it showed up because of who you are. Because of who you are. And if you feel like, well, that's not true or whatever it is, I'm not here to get you to believe what I say. But I am here to say maybe you should start taking a look at your life, because if you don't like what you're getting, for instance, if you keep seeing yourself, you in the same exact relationship, right? You keep saying that all the relationships that you tend to get into, they are practically all the same. They may have like some, differences or whatever it is, but for the most part, they are practically the same. Okay. The guy's a liar, a cheater, or whatever it is. Why did you attract that person? Or how did you attract the person? Oftentimes you attract the people because of your insecurities, how you perceive yourself. And because whatever may have happened to you when you was a child that you don't deal with, then the people that you attract is just going to be reflectors. They're going to just reflect back to you exactly how you showing up. So it's not a bad thing, right? Like, and that's what I pretty much was saying to her. I said, if you don't change who you are, right? Never mind what the ex did, but if you don't change who you are, that next person you be in a relationship is gonna be just like your ex, and then you're gonna blame that next person, as opposed to taking a break and start looking at yourself and saying, well, how did I come up with this? How did this person come into my life? I asked that, I don't give a damn what type of friendships, whatever. I asked that. Like if it's a certain type of relationship and I see like this person keep on talking about the same thing, right? Like they keep sort of being a victim as opposed of the master of their fate, and they keep talking about the same thing, keep saying how their life isn't working and all this other stuff. I asked myself, how did I meet this person? How did I come up? How did this person come in my life? And recently I had to do that. So you have to ask yourself those type of questions. How is it that the people that I am winding up with, how are they coming into my life? And the good news about life is this too, okay? I don't know if this the good news for some, but the most beautiful thing about this is when you get that lesson, you don't repeat the course. When you get that, like, when you see like, oh, the way I was showing up, right? When you start getting that lesson, oh, because I was a little insecure about who I was. Let me start getting to know who I am. Okay, and it's an ongoing thing. This not just like, oh, well, I know who I am. I say I know who I am, but I'm always getting to know who I am. And some may say, oh, that's a contradiction. Hey, you gonna know who you are, and you just said that you still getting to know who you are, because each and every day I'm learning. Each and every day I'm changing. And you're not a tree, in the words of Jim Rohn. Okay, you're not a tree, so you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stand there and continuously get the same exact thing. It was a story that Jim Rohn had told. He said it was this guy who had a car, and the guy, he hated the car, right? But instead of him just getting rid of the car, he I believe he shot the car all up, right? And said, "This is the last day that I ever drive this car, and you know what? And nobody else would drive the car neither," because he was so disappointed about the car that he had manifested. Okay, all right. So let's get to it. How to be free of sadness. Work with all of this. One of your great gains will be freedom from the tyranny of sentimental memory. What does this mean? Watch your next arising of sadness. You will find that it connects in some way with remembrance of a past era that you consider more exciting, more romantic, or more rewarding than now. Okay? So, if you are going through something, or if you feel sad, like for instance, if you like, you know it could be your income, right? And you could feel sad because maybe your income isn't the way that it used to be, right? And maybe you feel like the past, it was much better than what the present currently is offering, right? So it's funny because I'm thinking about um oh, what's the name of the book? Psycho Cybernetics. I'm thinking about this book as I was saying this. Okay. All right, so let's finish. This sadness comes from the unnecessary tyranny of sentimental memory and nothing else. The past gave us pleasure, but it is gone. And so we are sad. We want those pleasurable days back, but we know that all things change. In your new and unattached state, you are no longer at the mercy of the imaginative memory. There is no longer a painful yearning for what has been, but a gentle enjoyment of what is now. This is a perfect example of relationships. Perfect example. So say for instance, okay, you was in a relationship. In a relationship that you was in, it was, you thought that that person was gonna be your ideal. In the words of my grandmother would say, "Biati sweetie." Okay, so you may have thought that this person was gonna be your Biati sweetie, your forever, right? And then you wind up seeing that y'all break up, right? And you still reflecting on the past. You still reflecting on, well, we were supposed to be together forever. Why did we break up? Like, you still living in that cycle, right? And instead of you looking at your life and saying, it was so many memories that I enjoyed, but the chapter of that book is closed, right? Because it is closed. I mean, what would you do? What would you like if a person, and I said this in a previous video of mine, if a person decide that the relationship is over, okay, one of the things that you have to do is accept it. I mean, it's nothing else that you can do, right? You just have to accept that the relationship, it ran its course, okay, and that things are, um, you know, they not what they used to be, because now your life is finna change, right? But the beautiful thing about that is this: you could take the time out to do the work on yourself. I remember I would listen to this this YouTube channel, and it was called I think Love Radio or something like that. And on there they would tell you like different ways to get your ex back. But ultimately the real goal was for you to do the work on yourself, so you won't run into the same exact issue that you ran into, right? Like in that relationship, maybe your ex was saying that you was controlling. Maybe your ex was saying that, you can't give them what they need, or whatever they said. But when you start doing the work on yourself, one of the things that you would see is what happened in the past. It was just it's just a chapter in your book, right? It's not like a lifetime of suffering or pain or anything like that. It's just a lesson, right? Um, and so let's finish. In your new and unattached state, you are no longer at the mercy of the imaginative memory. There is no longer painful. I know I read this part, but maybe I just need to read it again. Okay, a painful yearning for what has been, but a gentle enjoyment of what now is. Memory has its place in recording non psychological facts like the alphabet, but creates useless sorrow when misused and in sentimental imagination. A sure way to detect harmful identification is the pendulum test. Whenever we identify with anything we think is exciting, we sooner or later swing back to the opposite feeling of boredom. Identification with excitement is always followed by an unhappy reaction. Mr. Jones has great fun at the party. Next morning, she feels depressed. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Miss Jones has great fun at the party. Next morning, she feels depressed. Mr. Jones beams with joy over a big financial, I know where this is going, success. Next day, he despairingly wonders whether the only value in life is one financial success after another. Or this is not negative. It presents you with a wonderful opportunity to find lasting values in self liberty. By ceasing to place our trust in anything outside our true self, we cannot possibly be afraid of anything. This is the secret behind the mystical teaching that man who has nothing has everything. What does that mean? All right, let's finish. Marvelous rewards come to the non. Oh, okay, Tracy. All right. Marvelous rewards come to the non attached man or woman. The boss may still be a tyrant, but no longer has he power to bother you. An irritating relative may be just as unbearable, but you are free of him. You, in your new role of a detached observer, are aware of everything but affected by nothing. Ooh, so good. Aware of everything but uh affected by nothing. Ooh, like you accept people. What I get is you accept people exactly for who they are. It puts me in the mind of the book The Four Agreements. Don't take anything personal because the way people are, it has nothing to do with you. Like I remember it would be times where as though I would yell at my children and then later on I would say, I apologize, right? And I say, me yelling at you, it has nothing to do with you. Now some may say, but why the hell you yelled at them? Right? Um, but that's something I would say to them because the truth of the matter is, whenever we do things, it really has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do exactly with who you are and the detachment part that the book talks about. Being or detaching yourself from things. I remember when I had came to the conclusion that I wasn't gonna do Uber no more. And this was the very first time that I said I'm not gonna do Uber no more. And at that time I was making videos, I was making content. And a part of me, it just felt like instead of me focusing on my happiness and making the content and stuff like that, somewhere I got caught up in the money rush of, you know, I would say, well, I'm going to be outside for like 4 hours, right, doing Uber. And then the 4 hours turned into 12 hours. And then sometimes after I finished doing Uber, I would turn Lyft on. And then I would do Lyft. And I remember it was like so much stuff that was going on at this particular time. One, I was I had got cut off from food stamps because welfare was pretty much like I was making too much, right? And so prior to that, I was, buying my own food and, things of that nature. And it was like, it started becoming like a challenge. And I would say, and I remember one of my homegirls, I was talking to her and I had this attachment to me, like, I want to be so strong, right? Like, I want to do everything by myself. And it was literally like weighing me down. I remember the long nights just from one job, from doing Uber, then to doing Lyft, and not spending as much time with my children. And I remember it came a point in time where as though I said, you know what, I'm just gonna detach myself from this vehicle. Now, some may say that wasn't the smartest thing to do because I still had a car note and stuff like that, and I still owed allegedly the money for the vehicle. And one of the things that I noticed was once I detached myself from the vehicle, it was like just a shift. It was like I started challenging myself more. I was like more in a happy state. And I already knew that they was gonna, come and get the car, because I made a vow like I wasn't going to do Uber no more, or Lyft for that matter. And I just was gonna focus on my happiness. I was just gonna focus on the things that mattered to me. And that was my children. That was, me challenging myself. That was me educating myself more. Um, just doing the things that I wanted to do, right? And I remember when they did come pick the vehicle up, right? And I wasn't really affected by it. Like because I already detached myself from it. So when they picked the vehicle up, when I saw it and I seen the vehicle wasn't where I parked it at, I just was like, they took the vehicle. But the dope thing about the universe, and I know a lot of you guys hear me say about the universe and how the universe will conspire to work in your favor. The dope thing about that, and some may say, well, that was goddamn irresponsible, right? But it was a lesson learned, right? And do I regret it? Absolutely not. Okay, because a few months later, after that, the bank that I did the financing with, they sent me a letter stating that pretty much the loan was forgiven. Now it's still on my credit report. Okay. Speaking of that, um, I gotta keep up with that because I be sending the credit bureaus letters and stuff like that, but then I'll fall off. I won't like, keep on sending them the letters and stuff. I just be like, you know what, whatever. But yeah, it's still on my credit report. But and I still have the letter from the bank that, pretty much sent me the 1099-C form stating that they claimed it on their taxes and they already got the money back for the vehicle. So anywho, so detachment, right? I think a lot of times we suffer because we are so attached, whether the attached to the outcome, whether it is attached to the person. And I remember I was listening to Country Wayne, okay, the comedian. And one of the things he said was, he said, your heart got broken because you was given what you couldn't afford. Like you was giving people parts of you that perhaps if you would have took the time out for yourself, then your heart would never got broken. And I think that really stands to truth, because I don't know how many times I would be in a relationship and be codependent and say, if you do this for me, I'll do this. Right? If you show me that you could love me, right? Then I do certain things or whatever it was. Or we try to fill other people's cup and our cup is like half empty. I remember I went to um I went to go see Shaman Dirk. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shaman Dirk. But this was, after I had my spiritual awakening, and I seen Shaman Dirk on Instagram. Okay. And Shaman Dirk, he's a shaman, okay. And pretty much is almost like, I don't want to say like psychic ability. He has psychic abilities and things of that nature, but um I remember when I went to go see him, because uh, is some celebrities that know him. And after I had my spiritual awakening, I remember he was holding an event in Brooklyn. And this was like my first event pertaining to spirituality, right? So it was a part of me that was nervous, a little nervous. I was I was excited because I was actually like meeting Shaman Dirk. And I remember it was probably about like 15 women, right? And I think it was like one guy who was there. And one of the things Shaman Dirk said, right? It was a lady who was there, and she pretty much was saying like she don't know like why she be feeling like overwhelmed, drained, depleted, and things of that nature. And Shaman Dirk said to her, he said, "You know why you feel that way? Because you the type." You the type, okay? That say for instance, he said, you the type that lives in this village, okay? And you have you go every day, to get water with your bucket or whatever, with your pail. I forgot exactly, but it was a pail or bucket. And you go get water from the well, from the okay. And you fill your bucket up. Okay? And you the type that when people come in that village, okay, the people that live in a village, they come to you because they need water for their soup, they need water for this, or they need water for that. He said you the type that you will give all the water, and then you would be looking like, where's my water at? And the reason why you don't have water is because you out giving everybody your water that was supposed to be for you. One of the things like I'm excited about is for my next relationship. But to be honest, like I'm a little nervous. Like I'm a little afraid of it. And the reason I say that is because like I said earlier, like people like they show you exactly how you showing up and stuff. And it's just like I don't know. Like I don't know. But I'm excited for my next relationship. Like I'm really really excited to do something different, right? Like to do something other than um what I was accustomed to. And when I say do something different, instead of putting a person on a pedestal, it's like, I put myself on a pedestal. I'm like my biggest cheerleader. I'm like the my biggest hype man, right? Like, and it feels good. And at the same time to understand that I enjoy my company. And so therefore it's not gonna be like, needy or anything like that. And I'm let me tell you something. I am extremely proud of myself. To the single people out there, okay? If you have been single, right, and you in the past probably would jump, hop, skip into relationships, but this time it's like you have taking the time out for yourself so you could get to know thyself, so you could show up in your next relationship different, okay? And so you could do the work on yourself. Kudos to you. Kudos to you. Because what I say, when you do different, you get different. When you move different, okay, life is going to give you different. And so, because right after your last relationship, you wasn't so eager to just jump into another relationship, but instead you took the time out to heal. You took the time out to see, how you could get better from life. Kudos to you for doing the work. Kudos to you. Honey, give yourself a pat, okay? Or a wink, okay? Because kudos to you. All right. So, with that being said, um, try to detach yourself from things. And I know at times it may seem a certain type of way, right? Like attaching yourself to anything outside yourself. And once that thing leave, it reminds me of my experience in life. I told you guys like how I would be so um attached to materialized things. You know, I thought that was me, right? And I thought that if I didn't have the pocketbook or bragging like, oh, girl, I got this, I just got this Dior perfume, or I just got this Chanel number 5 or whatever. Like, just bragging and, just bragging and shit. And then looking down on people saying, you ain't got this. Just silly. Just silly. Okay. And equating myself to the things that I had. And it was a part of me that just was like so sick and tired of it. Like, because what I had came to realize was, all right, I've been conditioned to believe, if you have the outside floored out, okay, decked out, you have the outside, your hair did every week or every 2 weeks, your makeup, you buying expensive makeup, and all these different things. If you have all of those things put together on the outside, right, then you winning. And what I often seen was that although I had those things, I was so incomplete. I was so unhappy because I would think, damn, I got this stuff, but I'm still getting into the same exact relationships. Like I would still be putting the guy on a pedestal. I was still feel like I wasn't good enough. And so oftentimes what tends to happen is, well, in my case, you know, like when you go through enough and you sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's like the universe is say, all right, you ready. And so I really had to detach myself from everything, like the makeup, the um everything, like the clothes, the shoes. I mean, I would still buy shoes and stuff and clothes. Um but it was a point in time where as though I just needed to detach myself from those things, because I started realizing that, you know, it doesn't matter what you have. What matters is, do you know who you are? And how could you get to know who you are? And those things, they don't make you. And so when I detached myself, from the things and the stuff, then it felt like the book says, the mystic path to cosmic power. It felt like it was like a freedom. It felt like, you know, like the book said, the the less the man have, the more he has. And that just simply means, the less that you are attached to things outside you, no one could ever take anything, or no one could ever, in a sense, break your heart or whatever it is. That no one can ever do those things, because and it's not that you don't care. It's just that, you're not attached. It's you're not looking for something outside you to give you happiness, right? Happiness is a choice. You choose to be happy. And for a long time, I didn't understand it. I just thought, oh, my happiness, it was conditioned. I'm happy because I have, you know, because I brought these shoes today. Or I'm happy because of this. Or I'm happy because of that. And so then I started choosing me. I started choosing me and started doing the work. So to the person that's out there, if you do feel sadness or depression, experiencing depression, and I don't like giving, titles or labels and stuff like that, because whatever you constantly say you are, that's what you shall be. And the power of the tongue, it really is something. Okay, I remember my grandmother used to say when I was a kid, she used to say, this little thing in your mouth called the tongue, and she would say, that thing could get you in trouble. And so when you telling yourself and speaking spells over yourself and saying, oh well, you this or you that, and not saying like, to disregard it or not be real with yourself. But as long as you keep saying like, you depressed, or as long as you keep on saying you have anxiety, or as long as all those things, like as long as you keep on saying those things, that's what's going to keep on manifesting in your life. But like I said earlier, the most phenomenal thing about life is awareness. When you are aware of anything that you may be experiencing, you could always move from it. It could be anything. Without awareness, okay, like the book The Mystic Path, okay, one of the things in the book, it says, how could you escape a prison that you don't know that you're in? How could you escape a prison that you don't know you're in? And so, whatever it is that you may be going through or growing through that's showing up in your life, and I think a lot of times when we may experience depression or something like that, is like our real self, it needs rest, right? Like the and that was something that I experienced, the depression. And one of the things that um I needed to realize was that my spirit was sick of me playing this role. And I said this before, like the persona, acting like I always had everything together on the outside, just acting just like, so bougie, right? And that bougie person come out sometimes, just to be honest. Okay, that the bougie person comes out sometimes. But I just would act like, my shit just didn't stink. I just felt like just looking down on people. Like, just like, you know? And I'm so excited about the person that um I became and the person I'm becoming. And so whatever you did in the past, okay, that's the past. But you have the ability to make sure your future is not like your past by what you do in this here now moment, because the future really don't exist. Okay, just FYI. Okay, the future don't exist. And to the people that's out there that's like, the future, what you mean the future don't exist? It don't exist. You create the future in this here and now moment. everything that you do. So when I say you could decide, you could make a choice right now and say, well, I'm going to change my life. I'm about a book. I'm going to do something different than what I normally would do. Because life is just going to keep on recycling. It's just going to keep recycling. If you keep being the same, it's just going to keep recycling. People just going to keep coming in your life. They're going to be just like each other. Okay? Because you the same. I remember I had seen this it was a guy on Facebook, right? And this particular day I had just came from New York, and I had went to this place that's probably about 30 minutes from where I live. And is this halal place. And I would go in there and I would get the falafel, the falafel balls, and I would get the rice and with the sauce, right? Like the creamy sauce, right? And I remember I went and got this order, and I came back to my car, and I had went on Facebook, and it was this guy who was on here who he was pretty much, he was getting married, and he was getting married to his best friend, which was a man, right? And one of the things he said was, he said he was so excited that he was finally, like, he was able to marry his best friend. And basically what he was saying was that all the relationships that he was in with females, he was like, they pretty much was disrespectful. They were they was disrespectful. They would talk to him any old type of way. But one of the things he said was that he seen his mother, talk to his father and treat his father like shit, right? And so I'm there and I'm reading, the stuff that, he was saying. And so once I read it, one of the things that I said was, um, and I didn't write it on his post, but I did a video on it. And one of the things I said was that it doesn't matter if you go to the same sex, right? Or it doesn't matter if you go to like it, because I know a person that would date, once upon a time they would date American men, right? And then because they had issues with American men, they started dating a different race, okay? And one of the things that I know to be true is it doesn't matter if you date the same race, if you date the next race, it don't matter who, if you are the same, that even if you date the same exact male or female, that person is gonna be like your previous. And some people really don't believe that. And I was on the phone with my sister, and and I was telling her about the situation, the Facebook thing, whatever. And she was like, yeah, but everybody don't believe that. And I was like, I was like, it's not a matter if, and I get it. I get it. I get it because, yes, some people don't believe it. They really believe that they don't have to change. That the next person is just going to be different. But all the evidence is shows. And all the opposites attract. I really don't know about what the hell that is. Because, some people say, well, opposites attract. I don't know which universe that's in, because the only thing I know is you attract what the hell you are. The universe gives you exactly what you are. So, I was talking to my sister and she pretty much was like, "Oh, well, everybody don't believe that and things of that nature." And I said, "Well, it's not about if they believe it or not, but you could just look at your life." And a lot of it is really programming because we have been programmed to believe that you can just jump and hop and skip into a relationship, into many relationships without doing the work on yourself, and then you're going to get something different. But not in this here universe. That don't work. That's not how this thing goes. And I'm speaking from experience. Once upon a time, I was sitting back and I said, all the guys I dated, what did they all have in common? And I would say, oh well, this guy, into pharmaceuticals, meaning he was in selling drugs, okay. But this one, he worked for corporate. Then this one, he was in illegal activity and stuff like that. But their occupations was different. Their occupations could be different, but goddamn it, their traits is going to be the same because what I come to realize and came to the conclusion was that they were all insecure. And remember what I said about the book by Dr. Joseph Murphy, the lady who was dating and married to effeminate men, and it was like I believe her second marriage. She kept on marrying effeminate men that she could basically control. And that was just because she was more so in her masculine energy. And so that's what I start realizing. I start realizing like, you know, damn, the guys who I mess with or I was messing with, okay, they was insecure. Because I was insecure. Hello, okay? And wanting to get love from them. And they couldn't give me, they couldn't give me love. They was there looking for me to give them love. It's almost like two empty buckets and we trying to get water from one another. So it's really about you coming to the conclusion of that you have the ability to change and to detach yourself from things. And sadness and suffering, it is from you. If, say for instance, if you put yourself on a pedestal, say for instance, you get into this relationship, right? And instead of you dropping everything, right? Because you like, oh, now I'm in a relationship. I'm gonna drop my friends, I'm gonna drop everything because I'm in a relationship and this guy or this gal, they are going to do the things that my friends used to do. They pretty much gonna take my friend's place, and I want to go shopping. He gonna come shopping with me instead of me having my homegirls or whatever it is, right? And instead of you looking for this person to be everything, right? Um, you still enjoy the things that you used to do before you met the person, and you still have your friends. You still spend time with yourself. I think a relationship will last longer like that. I think a relationship will last longer if it's not full of all these expectations. Like, oh, I want you to, do X, Y, and Z, and then half of the times you're not even doing it. That's why when I had someone write down, what was it that they wanted to manifest, right? And up into that point, the person was saying, "Well, they don't want a guy. I don't want a guy like this. I don't want a guy that do X, Y, and Z. I don't want a guy." And then I said to the person, I said, "All right, so what do you want? Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you want." And then a person said, "Well, I want a guy that's gonna be healthy. I want a guy that's gonna be spontaneous and all these different things." And the thing about that, when you write that list, you have to become it. You have to become that list. You have to become that list. Because if you don't become the list, guess what? Even if a guy showed up being everything that you had put on that list, okay, you would feel like you don't even deserve to be in that relationship. You would feel like you're not even good enough because you're not what you put on that list. And this person could be everything that you don't put on that list, and you're not that. And so it wouldn't work anyway. I remember I would get in relationships with guys, and they always they tour guys, pretty much had all the same I don't know, Tracy, about the veil part, because what I feel to be true is I think there's always red flags in the very beginning. And the reason I say that is um it was a guy, right, that I used to date. But before me and him, like I knew him, me and him grew up together, right? And he was like rather older than me. And he had went to prison, and I didn't see him in a while. And then when he came home from prison, um he was like a guy that I had a crush on back in the day. And me and him, we started dating. But prior to us dating, I never really seen his mother would in a relationship. And his mother was, she was attractive, beautiful, but I never, and one day it was none of my damn business, but I wanted the goddamn know. So one day I asked him, I was over at his house, and I said, why your mother not in a relationship? He could have told me like, why the hell you worried? Right? He could have said, why is that any of your business? But he didn't say that. What he said to me, he said, because men be putting their hands on my mother. That the relationships that his mother would get into, the guys were pretty much abusive. And something in my mind, shit had went off, right? And I know, right? Because some people say, well, all men, just because they witness their mother being abusive or whatever, that don't mean that they're gonna be abusive or whatever. In some cases, that may be true, okay, but not in this case. It wasn't. So he told me basically, without saying into details like, oh, well, I grew up witnessing my mother being abused, because really that's what he basically told me without saying so many words of that. He said because the men that his mother would date, that they always abusive. And so I say that because um I just believe like all the signs be there. Like all the all the signs, they pretty much be there in the beginning. Like it was this guy I was dating, right? And whew, it was this guy I was dating. And prior to me like being like in a relationship, like when we first started like talking and stuff like that, right? And so he spent the night at my house, the first night. And at night he spent the night. Okay, he spent the night, whatever. And then the next time he spent the night, because I pretty much didn't want him to leave. Like I was the type that I'd be like I'm not looking for no relationship. Like I tell a guy this. I'm not looking for no relationship, but deep down inside, like I was yearning for a relationship. Deep down inside, my whole mindset was I'm gonna spend enough time with the guy and then we gonna be in a relationship, right? Wouldn't do that much dating or anything like that. I would just like, get in a relationship, right? So, the first night he spent the night, everything was cool, right? And then the second night he spent the night, everything was okay. And then the third time, so he spent the night, I want to say like, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 times he spent the night at my house, right? Like the first the first night, and then he'd spend the night the very next night. And he didn't wash, right? And I was just like I would say things like, all right, let's get in the shower together, right? But I didn't think, I was so eager to be in a relationship that I didn't look at this shit like, oh my goodness, this could be a goddamn problem. I didn't look at it like that. So the sign was clear. Let me tell you something. Those red signs, they be goddamn there. Those red flags, they be there, honey. And so I remember the second night he spent the night, and it was like I didn't want to say to him, like, goddamn, you ain't gonna wash. Like I didn't want to say that to him. And I just was so eager to be in a relationship. And so what wound up happening was, later on I seen that that was that was like something, like it was an issue. And some may say, damn, you was with somebody. I was with him because I settled. And my self-esteem, it was so goddamn low that I just was like, you know what? Let me take this, because shit, I don't know if I could get something else, and I got kids. But clearly after that, okay, after I seen that and stuff like that, and then I would try to change him. Like I would constantly try to change him. Like, oh well, you gotta get in the shower, or let's take a shower together, like to try to, I get like, motivate him so we could wash together and stuff, so he could wash, right? But those signs was there. Let me tell you something. Them goddamn signs was there. I just didn't want to see him. But those goddamn red flags, honey, those red flags, they was redder than red. Those red flags was redder than a goddamn red crayon. Those flags, they were there. Okay? Because this what tends to happen a lot of times, okay? People, um they've been doing things for so long that it's like it becomes a part of who they think they are. But in all actuality, it's not really, I want to say, not really deep down like who they are. It's just the programming, right? But if they don't change their goddamn programming, then, and some may say contradiction, but then that would be, who they pretended, let's say who they pretending to be. But I um Yeah, because every relationship I was in, I could look back at it and I could be like, oh my goodness, that it was a red flag right then and there. Yeah, I seen that goddamn red flag. Like this guy. Okay, another guy. All right. Remember what I said? I would be all, wanting to have you up and get in a relationship, thinking that the person is just gonna give me, you know, the love and everything that I felt like they could give me. Okay, not realizing that, I'm going to someone that was just as incomplete at that time, or I don't want to say broken, but they was like me. Okay. And so it was this guy my older sister had hooked me up with. Okay. And at that time I was in a program. And the program that I was in was because I told you guys when I was 12 years old, selling drugs and stuff like that. My father passed away. So I went to this all girls home, right? And I would do furloughs. Okay. Furloughs just basically means if you like in a program with the state, if it's like a mandatory program or whatever it is, or if basically you just come home on the weekends, right? And my sister hooked me up with this guy because she used to date his brother, right? And the guy who I was talking to at first and everything like that, I would notice that he would disappear sometimes, right? Like I would notice he wouldn't be available, right? And we're gonna get into the story of it. So um that was like in the beginning, like somewhat the beginning, right? He would disappear, like you can't find him. I'll call him his cell phone. He was older too. I would call his cell phone, whatever, call his mama house, and things of that nature. He wouldn't be there, or dad say he was at home and all this other stuff, right? Make a long story short, okay, when me and him, like when I came home like for good, as opposed to just coming home on the weekends doing furloughs and stuff like that, I came home for good, right? He was the goddamn same way. He would be missing in action, but that was a sign in the beginning that he was showing me. But not only was he missing in action, and I guess this was like one of the reasons why he would be missing in action, is because he was addicted to PCP. And I didn't know like he was addicted to PCP, but one of the signs, like one of the red flags that he was showing me, right, when I was come home for the furloughs or whatever, it was like that he was damn it, what the word I'm looking for. He was shoot, he was inconsistent. But he showed me that in the beginning. But I just was like, oh, this my boo thing. You know, this my man. But he showed me those signs in the beginning. I just didn't want to see him. Or I just wanted to paint them a different color. So to me, I feel as though the signs always be there. Like I told you guys the other day, right? When I met that guy, who was working for the train station or whatever, and he was like cleaning the elevator or whatever. And when he was talking to me, he mentioned he had another phone, right? And I don't, some people may say, well, what's the big deal of that? Well, what I seen was, why you got to tell me you got a second phone and that's your work phone? So I pay attention to stuff like that. And then he wasn't my type anyway. So instead of me just leading him on and saying, or feeling like, well, let me mess with him because I could change him. I just, told him like, I don't want to waste your time, but you're not my type. So, um, what I really think is, and I said this before, that when you get comfortable with like being with yourself, and you are right with spending time by yourself and everything like that, when you meet someone, I feel as though it won't be like a rush thing. I feel as though it'd be more so like, you know, because you enjoy, like you now enjoy, you finally got to the place where as though you now enjoy your own company. And I don't know if that would be I would say it'd be a good thing, but then it's like you become like you start looking for stuff. You give them like you start, and since there's no perfect people, you'll always find it. But like you'll start saying like one little thing, right? And so for me, sometimes I think like, well, Dina, maybe you being too hard, like when you first meet a guy or whatever it is. But what I think is, I think you would know if this person, I feel as though your intuition will let you know, like if this person is cool, or if this person deserve a second date or whatever it is, like that's what I believe. So with that being said, it's funny, we talked about one thing and then led to relationships and everything like that. So, with that being said, make sure you guys rocking out, believing in yourselves. I highly recommend getting this book. Okay, this book, The Mystic Path to Cosmic Power by Vernon Howard. This book is a phenomenal read. And I'm about to read the Prosperity Bible, like a chapter of that. And then I'm going to read Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And then I don't even know what time it is. Oh, it's 12:31. And yeah, and then I catch you guys in the AM. Okay? Believe in yourself, rock out, keep on going. Keep on knowing, right? You can be, do, have whatever it is that you desire. And also know that success is a decision away. Okay. In order for you to get something different, you have to become something different. And that's the phenomenal thing about life, because you are capable of becoming something different. You only need to make a decision, make a choice. Okay, today I'm gonna decide. Today I decide to read at least one page of a book. Instead of me watching television, or instead of you doing whatever it is that you do, right? I am going to invest into myself, and I'm going to put stuff into my mind that is going to allow me to evolve, right? In the words of Zig Ziglar, one of the things he would say was, if you don't if you wouldn't allow someone to come to your house and just dump trash or on your floor, in your living room floor, okay, why would you allow the trash to go on in your mind? Until next time, I catch you guys. Peace.